let's bring in New York Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis. Congresswoman, great to see you. So who is the front runner based on from where you're sitting right now?
Look, I think it's hard to tell at this very moment. Things are just starting to unravel, and we're speaking to people. I've spoken with all three of those candidates that you put on the screen have reached out to me today, and they all bring, I think, a number of strengths. I see Steve Scalise and Jim Jordan probably as the front runners at this moment, but there could be a third-party dark horse that comes in and takes it all. So I think there's going to be a lot of negotiations over the next few days. A lot of people have questions. We just want to know, what is your plan to get us out of this mess that Matt Gaetz created for us? How are we going to make sure that we extract what we want from the Senate in this funding negotiations right now? Because we need to secure our southern border. That's our #1 priority. And this was the leverage we were going to use to get it, and he basically undermined us. So now where do we go from here? And the third question is, who will unite us all, right? And I think, you showed three people there that I think have the ability to unite this conference so we can move forward as a team and recognize that we need to fight with the Democrats in the Senate for cutting excessive wasteful spending and securing our border, not with each other.
So do you have any dark horse sort of in mind that we might not be thinking of right now?
Well, look, some of the names that I've heard so far are some of the committee chairs who happen to be close to Speaker McCarthy, right? So you have people like Patrick McHenry, who is the chairman of the Finance Committee, Jason Smith, who's the chairman of my committee, Ways and Means. Those are some names that have also been brought up as potential should one of these three that you showed do not make it to 218 in the first round.
So it's safe to say probably none of the 8.
Well, that's for sure.
You were in the conference meeting last night. I would have given anything to have been a fly on the wall in there. So what was the tenor of that? And if you were to guess just kind of how long this was going to go on, what would your wildest speculation be that we would have a speaker again?
I think it was solemn yesterday when Speaker McCarthy said that he was going to step aside. I think many of us were shocked and we were sad. We thought he was going to continue to fight and that we would be able to figure this out and get him back in there because he was doing a good job. And what people need to recognize is that we are 1/3 of the federal government. We have to negotiate. We have to compromise with the Senate and the White House. He's done a damn good job of getting us a lot of the concessions that we wanted and also passing a lot of our priorities. Okay, energy independence, border security. We've put a lot of stuff on Schumer's desk. It's not our fault. It's not his fault that Schumer refuses to do his job in the Senate for what the American people want. And so I think that this, unfortunately, look, you had 3% of the conference side with the Socialist Squad and the Democrats to overthrow the speaker, which 97% of the conference supports. That's wrong. And I think we lost a lot of leverage because, remember, we have 40 days to fund the government. And now for this week and next week, we're going to be sitting here trying to figure out who's the next speaker.
All right, so just to switch gears a little bit back closer to home for you anyway. So I think you saw where New York City Mayor Eric Adams is going to South and Central America in an apparently to discourage migrants from coming to New York City. Yesterday, he called out a body of people in the migrants' home countries that might be feeding them false hope about what it's really like in New York. Watch this.
There's a body of people who are there that are giving them false hopes and false promises. We want to give people a true picture of what is here. We're going to tell them that coming to New York doesn't mean you're going to stay in a 5-star hotel. It doesn't mean that the mere fact you come here, you automatically are going to be allowed to work.
Which he says as he puts them in 5-star hotels and then doesn't send them back. So I'm not sure about the false hope thing is working. But what's your view on all this?
Well, it's good to see that the mayor's doing a 180 on this. But I'll tell you something. He has incentivized these individuals to come to New York. He's offered free housing, free lawyers, free food, free services, free education, free health care. So he has incentivized people. He created this crisis. As a matter of fact, I'm part of a lawsuit where we tried to stop a shelter. We won. And in the lawsuit, in the decision, the judge actually said that this was a crisis in New York City that was created by the mayor because he's misinterpreting the right to shelter law. It was intended for New Yorkers, not the citizens of other countries. He can end the crisis today in New York if he just stops providing free housing and these incentives.
The mayor of Chicago is also going to go to the border. But why aren't all of these Democrats who, it's not just the fiscal situation of this city and other cities that's burdened, it's particularly the children of these cities in public schools suffering from learning loss from COVID because of the wretched teachers unions. But these children are suffering already. And Congresswoman, why don't they simply go to the White House? The governor of New York, she got the Heisman from Biden. He didn't show up. She had to meet with Jeff Zients. They should all be screaming to the high heavens about what Joe Biden and his cronies have intentionally done to the people of all of these cities, and quite frankly, the migrants coming across the border. And if the mayor wants to take a trip, he's going to have to go to Russia and Africa and China and all of the nations around the world where illegal immigrants are coming from.
That's right. And it would be around 120 different countries if he were to do that. And you're absolutely right. I say all the time that our mayor should go to the U.S. Senator from New York, who happens to run the Senate majority, Chuck Schumer, and tell him to pass our Border Security Act. That's what he should be doing. Everyone seems to leave Chuck Schumer out of this equation, but he is the number one person after Joe Biden responsible for the crisis we're seeing right now, because he refuses to pass our Border Security Act, which would literally end this today. It would go back to the policies of the previous administration that were working, and that's all we need to do.
Nicole Malliotakis, Congresswoman, thank you so much.